Okay, I'm going to start my talk. First, I'm going to start off with a couple of commercials. First of all, with my thinner look, it comes from my closure. This is the first time I could do this jacket up, and of course, there's only one closer in Prince Albert. That's Fred Mathis and Spence Wear. So if you need any, go down there. That's who dressed me in. I do have a brand new pair of shoes on. I'm not the finance minister, but I did put a brand new pair of shoes on for today's event. And I just don't know how to thank you all for coming. This just shows that you care about our community, and our community is going to go forward. What I'm going to talk about today is all about change. As you can see, we've made some drastic changes to our staff. First by hiring Jim Toy from the city of North Battleford with his history. He's from Saskatchewan. He had all his local governments. He's very well connected. The main thing that we drive our new team for is we want to move forward. We don't want to move forward with the status quo. We want to do things differently. We want to promote innovation and change to our department. And our last goal is, of course, to become more customer service friendly. So I'd like to welcome our team, and looking forward to working with them in the next few years. I'd like to introduce at this time, I did leave our council off because I wanted to personally introduce my team. And I'll get them to stand up. I think they're all just off to my right. Joining us. Now, the ones that are not here today, it's not that they didn't want to hear what's happening. It's, unfortunately, sometimes we have a full-time job. We have teachers on our council, and so they couldn't get away today. So, first of all, joining me from my council today is Charlene Miller, Mark White, Lee Atkinson, Martin Rain, Jim Sharko. Thank you. One thing I'll say about our counselors is we're all individuals. We all bring different skill sets to the table and have different attitudes. But at the same time, we have the same goal, and that's to make Prince Albert a better place to live. And we are working towards that. So I'm going to start off first talking about council and where we're going, and then I'm going to move on. The first thing that you're going to notice in 2015 is we've done a drastic new change to our meeting structure. And everyone said, wow, and I wish our city clerk was here, because here's an example of hiring an overachiever. This actually is going to cause her and her staff more work. Yeah, that's incredible that we're going to actually task our staff to do more work, and they brought this idea forward. And the reason for it is we didn't feel we were getting out of the executive committee, and that's what we tackled, what it was designed for. So we're going to be more effective, or more focused. We're going to pay more attention to items that are going on the agenda. We're going to allow our staff, as you can tell, they're very educated and skilled, to interact with us as council. We're going to allow the public to interact with us more as council. Our council meetings are going to be a lot longer. There is going to be 6 less a year, but some of our meetings were 45 minutes. And if you look at a cost of put on a council meeting when you have all these professionals, because they all got to come to council, it just wasn't worth the money that we were leaving. So we're excited about the new look that we're going to have. Administration is going to be more involved. Executive committees will actually have some decisions made and presentations at executive, and it'll be more open to the public. And I think that's what the public is looking for us. So with that, one of the biggest changes that we made is a good news story is about our budget. This is the first time in our history we actually passed our budget December of last year. So all these staff members that you've talked to, they are now working. They're tendering, they're buying equipment, they're tendering our summer jobs, our projects. And that's why it affected our budget so much, is the sooner you can get out of the gate, the cheaper you can buy product. When you approve a budget in April and you want to buy, and you told them to buy a new lawnmower, well, we're going to need that lawnmower right away. So you're going to hear about that, about equipment that we purchased, and how we're moving forward as I go along. Our taxes this year is a good news story in 2015. Our tax rate did go up 2.57, which is the lowest in the province of all the cities that have reported so far. And so if you owned a house at $225,000 and less, and the Pine View levy came off this year, So I'd like to congratulate everyone. It's a great facility if you haven't seen it. That means for anyone that had a house under that value, your taxes went up less than 1%. And we're going to work for the same goal in 2016. We're soon, again in August, we'll be in our budget cycle. Commercial taxes, over 50% of commercial taxes to low, small businesses were reduced. And how we did that is we re-looked at our base tax, our asphalt program, because when we rolled that out, we were more focused on the residential, and we've seen a large spike in commercial that we didn't think was really fair. So we reworked on that. One of the other highlights in the budget is my office. My office led the way in reductions in the budget. My predecessor in his last year spent $187,700. This year I've reduced my budget again since I've been in power. This year I will only spend $156,188. So it's a 20% decrease in my own operation, because I don't believe you can ask your team to cut if you don't cut. And yes, media, that also includes my raise. So if anyone wants to know, my salary is also included in that. And when I took it, I knew I was going to do more work. I do my own phone calls. You'll find quite a change on how my office operates. The door is always open. I have a great executive assistant, even though the city manager likes to call her a confidential secretary. She is my executive assistant, Stacy. She's hiding in the back. Yet didn't tell her I was going to introduce her. Unfortunately, she's going to extend our population in February. So she'll be leaving me for a year, so I'm really going to be in trouble. And I want to wish her luck. One of the biggest stories that we have to talk about in our term, of course, is our capital projects. Since we've been in power, colluding this year is in this figure. We have spent $36 million on capital improvements on our city. In 2013, we spent $9 million. Last year was our biggest year. We spent $15 million. This year we've reduced it, and I'll explain that further down, to $11 million. And in those capital projects, we've done incredible projects. First, of course, I'm going to talk about our base tax, which everyone pays, $189 levy. At the end of 2014, so the 2 years, we have now paved 156 blocks. And how we figure out a block, because some are cul-de-sacs and some are places, we figure it out at 150 meters in length. So that's a huge project. And after this year, we'll be well over the 200 streets that are done, and it'll certainly be a notice to our community. We redid the Central Avenue intersection. We did the intersection on 15th and 10th. We did the viaduct repair on Central Avenue for $1.1 million. We did the 6th Avenue viaduct for $200,000. And then I put a smaller one in here because I want to touch on it, on a better way to do business. Line paint. We actually did it twice. Yes, and we actually painted every line in the city in 6 days instead of 6 weeks. Yes, we did hire an Alberta company. The reason that we did that is when we tendered it, the only one that had the other equipment to do it was a company out of Yorkton. So I phoned the gentleman to encourage him to bid, and he said, no, I'm not going to bid. Because he said, you're right, I have the same equipment, but I do a niche in the market. He only paints airports, which is neat. He's out of Yorkton, has the same equipment, but he'll only do lines, and he only works in airports because he knows how they work. But lots of people, when we got the line painting done, phoned me and said, hey, we didn't know 28th Street was 4 lanes. You know, I think out of all the things we did this summer, the thing that got the most attraction was people went away for the weekend and come back and our city was painted. So those are the kinds of things that we're looking to do and do better. Water and sewer are a big headache because we do have a $71 million deficit in that department. We spent $17 million. We did $1.3 million in new water main replacement, which complies of 9 blocks. Saturday, that was 9 blocks. So you can see underground work is done. We earmarked $250,000 for water main work this year because I'm going to soon make another announcement a little further down. And you can see we're putting up, they see them all over the city, they're called they're brick buildings. And what there are, they're lift stations for our sewage, they're pump stations. We spent $6 million in putting those in. And what drove that is if everyone remembers that terrible time we were out of power for 2 days after the storm. One thing we realized in our city, we could deliver water, but you couldn't use it because we couldn't take away the sewage. We're now in the position, if we ever do have a power failure, and I hope we don't, that we're now in a position that we'll be able to operate and deliver you water and sewer, which in a power outage is amazing. You know, even though I think the biggest complaint we had came from the men, our clickers didn't work. So that's a challenge, and we're moving forward. And we'll be finishing the last 3 pump stations this year. The airport, we're investing another $451 million in our airport. We did renovations, $184,013. We're putting in a parking system, and we're upgrading the parking lots, and I'll talk about the parking lots just a little bit now. I'm excited to announce, too, in our term, we spent $260,000 on the Rotary Trail. And we continue to push the Rotary Trail through. We've applied for a federal grant. The Rotary Club, I want to thank them. They've raised another $90,000, and we hope to get another grant from the federal government for $90,000, and that will put the trail then all the way through to the soccer center. So we continue to work on that. That's a very popular program. Capital spending by category, just to quickly round off capital. Of course, asphalt this year we'll be spending $4 million. On the pump stations that I mentioned, we'll be finishing that project off at $3.4 million. Now this is the one, you can start rolling. This is the one you're not going to like. This year we have no choice. We will close from 2nd Avenue and 15th Street from that intersection to the bridge. We have pipes that are underground there. They're 114 years old. So we are tendering that project. One of the projects is that we're going to try to get them to work 16 hours a day. We can't work 24 hours a day because we do have seniors complexes and stuff in there. And it will be like if the bridge is closed. Because we are fortunate in one way that the pipes and everything are on the west side of the street. So that'll be the big gate. That'll take us the longest project. So we'll have the side of them all open. We are coming up with a better signage program for the businesses that are there, and also for the tourists that come through. Our goal is to see if we can have, for long weekends, 2 lanes open going to the bridge, and 1 lane coming off, and then reverse it on the weekend when they're coming back to get 2 lanes coming through and 1 lane back. So we do know it's going to be a problem, but we do have to fix it, and we've been putting it off. Those are the oldest pipes in the city, and they've served their time 114 years old. So there will be delays, and we ask for your patience, but it has to be done, because if we don't do it and it collapses on its own, it'll cause us quite a bit more problems. And our record has been it'll collapse in the winter, not in the summer when we can fix it. So we're going to do that. One of the other things that I'm excited about that we approved in our budget, in our capital budget, we spent $175,000. And we bought what we call an asphalt recycler. You'll notice when B&B mill our street in preparation for paving, that we have piles and piles, we call them chips. Well, this machine now will be fed those chips, and it's actually used for repairing potholes. And they claim with this machine that we should be able to do 4 to 5 times the potholes we can do today. And what I like about it, we're using a recycled product that we're taking on our streets. So I'm really excited about that program and attacking our streets. Economic development, again, you know, we were hoping to make a major announcement. There is some coming. We just got to finish inking the deals. But again, we continue to have more land under contract than we ever have. And what that means is we signed letter of memorandums with developers tying up land to 6 to 1 year, so they can do their development plans to make sure it'll work, and at that time they'll purchase the property. So you can expect some more major announcements coming in 2015. And one will actually be coming in the first quarter. And so I think what we'll do is, one of our projects are huge, the Coastal Chamber, that we're going to ask you all to assemble here to listen to these great announcements once more this year. Tourism and destination marketing, that is economic development. In 2014, you should have seen the calls I got in my office complaining that there's no hotel rooms available in the city of Prince Albert. Now, some of these projects were the Saskatchewan Winter Games, the Indian Winter Games. The Western Regional Mintos had the tournament here where they went on to win Canadians. We had the Canadian Native Basketball Championships, over 70 teams, just built. And with that, I'd like to just take a little break from that, and I want to thank you. Because without you, the volunteers, and the sponsors, we would have not had lots of these events. In 2015, we're going to have 2 exciting big programs. A new one is we're going to have a large winter, we're going to have a large music festival this summer. So watch for the information, and we're also bringing back the air show. But again, these are not taken lightly because we have to thank you again for your sponsorship and volunteers. Business license and development. Business licenses is probably one of the biggest shockers because everyone is looking for me to get up here and to announce the $400 $500 manufacturing plant. That isn't going to happen. If one of those things ever come along, the other 2 cities in our community will outbid us financially and that. But what's going to make us grow is within. And if you look within, I see Man Motors is here. Go by their building. Big renovation, big reinvestment in our community. Lakeland Ford, another big investment in our community. Leon's, another well-established thing. Major renovation going on there. And all these renovations mean more jobs because as these local businesses expand, they need more jobs. Small business, I believe, is our backbone. You get a small business that brings 2 or 3 people working, that adds to our community. And talking about business licenses, in 2013, we had, at the end of the year, 1,396 businesses in our community. Today, we now have 1,614, up 12%. So congratulations to those new businesses that are here, because that's going to help us grow, because we are going to become the service and hub for Northern Saskatchewan. The other thing that is exciting for us is we always talked about housing development, condos, and that we have to get more in the market and we have to move forward. Well, we had a record year in that. In 2013, we had a $29 million investment that created 112 units. In 2014, 50 million for a total of 251 units. That's a lot for our community. So if you could give a big round of hands for the developers that are here, because that's who's doing it. They're being developed by private investors. Now we have a lot more streets and new developments coming on in 2015. Of course, one of our biggest ones is the Caleb project, but next year River Breeze is going to start up on the riverbank to bring another niche to our market that we're lacking. Our downtown, we're very pleased. If you go down Central Avenue now, we've got to thank the provincial government. The provincial government brought as a project to us the Main Street program. And over the last few years, the provincial government has given us $375,000 to assist in the new fascias. This year, in our budget, first time ever, City Council gave out of some of our revenue sharing from the meters, $40,000 that will go into an account, and then we're going to work on that. So the next couple of years, you're going to see some major work happening. For anyone in the downtown, I'm giving you a warning. Once we're done with 2nd Avenue, our next major project is going to be Central Avenue. And again, unfortunately, you know how narrow Central Avenue is. It is going to be an impact. But I got to tell you, short-term pain for long-term gain. It has to be repaired, and when we do it, we're going to do street paving. We're going to consult with the downtown businesses on what that should look like in the redesign. So I'm excited about moving forward. I touched a little bit on the Rotary Trail. Again, you know, I have to thank everyone that's participated in the Rotary Trail because that's an exciting part of our community. Now, I'm also today been tasked to make an announcement, and I'm very pleased to make this announcement on behalf of the Kinsman Club. So on behalf of the Kinsman Club in the city, I'm very pleased to announce that they are stepping up, and they are announcing today that they are taking over Save Our Water Slides campaign to finish off raising the balance of the money so the water slides will reopen in 2015. Now another first, and I know you want to hear this, and this is important because this is one of the criticisms that we got in our decision to close the water slide. Our department will be bringing a report to council for approval. This is the first time ever on a facility that we're going to add a fee, a small fee that will be put in a reserve account that is not to be touched and will only be used in the future to repair and keep the water slides in shape so it will never fall to the shape it was in today. Now, I told you the good news. There's always bad news. And the bad news is, again, short-term, but it's going to be short-term pain. And then today I'm going to talk about oil prices. We're all loving it when we pull up to the pumps. God, I used to go to the pumps and pull up there with my truck and say, put $100 in. Now it takes 65 bucks. But as much as I enjoy it, as the mayor, I know what it's going to do to us. And I'm going to tell you some of the things it's going to do. First, you're going to see our unemployment rate drastically climb. And it's drastically going to climb because our young people are returning from Fort McMurray, where lots of them still lived here, went in for 2 weeks and came out for a week. Well, now they're not returning. And if you heard the news again this morning, more billions cut from the oil sands project, more job layoffs. I'm very fortunate in my past life. I worked for a company called the Fishman Group out of Israel. They operate in 38 countries. So I phoned them yesterday to talk about the price of oil. They disagree with Canada says. They believe it's a 2-year project. They believe that the price of oil will go down $25 a barrel. And they're concerned because they have investments in those 38 countries. But part of it is the price that we paid when we decided to stand up for our liberties. Some of those other companies have ordered their workers to open those taps full blast. We may put economic sanctions on them, but we're going to get some economic sanctions back from them when it comes to the price of oil. To hit home base even a little better on the price of oil, we have lots of kids, and you have to remember this, Alberta isn't the only one with oil. We have lots of kids returning from Weyburn, Estevan, Kendersley. I feel sorry for the city of Kendersley. They're going to be affected by 30% of the population with the oil sold down. Imagine that, 30% of your population. That's a lot. And what concerns me is talking to some of these smaller oil companies, when the price of oil comes back, they're not going to be here. Because they don't have the capital backing them up like Shell, Esso, the big guys, Stingso, to go through this hump in the road. And it is a hump, but some of the smaller companies. And give you an example of what they were faced with. One young guy that just returned home, bought a semi, and was hauling oil in the oil fields, just outside Lloydminster, doing 12 loads a day. He's down to 5. And he has to put his truck up because 5 is not going to do it. Another young from our city, a young entrepreneur, bought 6 clean-out trucks and are working in the oil fields. He's now down to 2. And he fears every day when that phone rings that he'll be less and less. Because he says, now what's happening, when those oil heads plug, right, they're leaving them plugged. Because the price of oil is not worth the repairs to keep them going. So we are going to feel it. The biggest hit that we're going to feel, and I'm going to share this with my colleagues here that are sitting with me today from the federal government, is both federally and provincially. Federally, first of all, I want to thank Randy Kovac, who could not be here today. But I want to thank him. Boy, he's in the news all the time. He's putting Prince Albert on the map. But when we need him, we send him a letter and or call his assistant, and he's there for us. I give him credit. He went to the war zone this year and got back safely so he could see firsthand. So he's also putting Prince Albert on the map, so I'd like to thank him. The provincial government is going to have a huge challenge because not only were they suffering from potash royalties, now the price of oil. And governments, we're a little more diversified, but the price of oil is really going to affect us. And so I got to give them credit. They are going to have to cut. And of course, they're looking at cutting our funding. And I'm going to announce this weekend, I'm at the SUMA conference with my colleagues, and this is one thing that's on, the PSP formula. We believe the PSP formula is the right one, don't touch it. And I'm going to take a lead from the mayor's caucus for a year because I don't agree with their stand. Their stand is, Greg, let's just worry about our own budgets and protect ourselves and leave the province out there. Well, I don't believe we can do that, because I believe if we cry together, we'll heal together. And they've got some big decisions, and I hope the right decision, and that's what I'm going to say today, and they're taking notes. The right decision is think about the people. And when you think about the people, what can we do without for the next couple of years? Well, let's put some of our mega projects on hold. We have the big bypass project in Regina that's just going to bypass the Trans-Canada around the city. That can wait a couple of years. That's $1 billion expenditure that I believe we don't have to make today. The North Commuter Bridge project in Saskatoon. You've got 9 other bridges. You can wait a couple more years. You whined about these ones for the last couple. That's why the river level came up. But you know, you can walk a little, and maybe the mayor there will lose some weight if he didn't have to walk out of his office. That's why he's heavier than me, because he walks out of his office 10 feet, he's on a bridge. You know, so he doesn't have to go anywhere. So I'm really going to encourage the government this weekend, because we will be meeting with the Premier is there and all the cabinet ministers, and I will be expressing my opinion that let's think of the people and let's look at our mega projects, because at this point, the federal government, that's what they're looking at, is why take 3% away? Because if you don't do this, this is what I'm for threat. I could easily agree with the other mayors and say, yeah, let's protect our budgets. By protecting our budgets then, I see some of our low rental developers are here that build affordable housing and stable housing and does a great job. They're going to lose their funding. We've already lost our funding. Councilor Martin Ring sits on our recycling program. We've already lost our recycling money that we were expecting in 2015. That's already been cut. Because people don't understand. The province just does not give the city of Prince Albert money. They give the school divisions. They give the hospital, which continues to plan for a new hospital. They're actually, I think, having a meeting next month about it. So it's just not us. I tried to tell our mayor, it's our community that we should talk about. The other thing that I fear is the government has been great in keeping down education tax. They flexed last year and talked about looking at raising education tax, and of course we all barked and they backed away from that. But our schools need repair. We need new schools. So we do have a big challenge ahead. So that's my loom and gloom of part about the oil prices. Now as I prepare to close, everyone wants to know what my announcement is. Lots of figured it out by reading the newspaper. Is one of the challenges I have as mayor is lots of times I get criticized from our residents. So listen to this. I get criticized from my residents because I told Darrell Hickey and our 3 MLAs and our premier what I thought of their decision. Well, first of all, I am the mayor of Prince Albert. And if you're going to cut jobs from my community, I don't care who you are, you're going to get a phone call from the mayor of Prince Albert because I don't like it. And that doesn't mean I don't support the government or I'm not a cheerleader for the government. We have to work with the government. But at the same time, I am personally the mayor of Prince Albert. And if anyone, whether it's the provincial, federal government, private business decides to pull out, they're not going to get a friendly phone call from the mayor. Because we want to grow our community. And we can't grow our community with job losses. You noticed in my speech I did not talk about the mill. I'm not going to talk about the mill. My previous colleagues before me that stood at this podium fired us up about the mill, fired us up about diamonds, fired us up about this project. I'm going to fire you up in 2015 with 2 or 3 big announcements. And that's when you get your community fired up, not under. The mill will not open for a while. They have a non-complete clause with Dumpstar. They bought it. It's closed, and unfortunately it's going to sit there for a while until that problem can be sorted out. So I don't want to fire up the crowd to think that the mill's going to reopen shortly. It isn't in my speech this year, and that's why. I'm still excited about the hospital. I don't speak about the hospital, that's Parkland Health District's baby, and they're working hard on it. And they're trying to move that project forward. But again, they're going to have a challenge now with the government limiting their funding available. What's going to happen? The bridge, I can talk about the bridge. I let the Prince Albert Daily Herald talk about the bridge. So I encourage you to go find my collection, because I'm very proud of it. If you miss it, you just gotta come to the second floor. It's on the public display, and it's actually becoming a tourist attraction on all these good cartoons, so I have to thank them. Anyone that missed part of my speech today, I have to thank the shopper. Monday, if you don't get the shopper, get it. Monday when it comes out, it'll be a full page in the shopper, which is the speech that I talked about today, so I want to thank the shopper. And with that, before I make my announcement, I want to also thank all the media. You know, some of our councillors get excited when the media gets on our case. Well, that is their job. Their job is not only to sing the good time stories of our city, but also to say, why did this happen? Why did you let it happen? Why didn't you have these reserves? I sometimes call them my opposition party, because they're in there, they're dating, and they want news stories. But at the same time, they've been reporting it quite well. So I want to thank all the media. All right, everyone wonders what I'm going to talk about. Well, what I'm going to talk about, and why I'm announcing it today, I am going to run for a second term. The reason I'm announcing it today is I've been getting too many calls in our community. Usually I call the silly season the year of the election, because people are flexing, we're going to run, we're going to do this, and then we get into the silly season, nobody wants to make a decision because they don't want to lose a vote. You know, they don't want to give you even a tax increase because they think you can fool you by saying no taxes this year. Well, we'll get you next year once you elect us. Well, I'm not going to do that. So the reason I'm announcing today is I really have to concentrate on these three major announcements that I want to make. And I really want to concentrate on the work that needs to be done at City Hall. So I have a campaign team out there. I'm going to leave my campaign up to them. This is the only time I'm going to talk about my campaign, is that I told them I would say today that I'm going to run. The reason I'm going to run is we have a taxation plan that's going to keep our taxes low that I want to work on. The development plans that I talked about, our strategic plan, I want to see them moving forward. I operate on three principles. Number one, stand tall. And I do stand tall. I am very humble, but I am very proud to be the mayor of the city of Prince Albert. I am. We have a beautiful city, and we have lots of growth. I do believe when it comes to our announcements in 2015, we are standing on the edge of moving forward. We just need something to do that push. So I stand tall. Number two, and I'm glad to see we have a table in the back of ministers. First time ever, thank you and welcome. Because they pray for our city and our leaders daily, and they should. Because of my next one. My next policy, my next third principle that I'll live on. And this is a hard one, so I have to explain it. Don't lie. Now for a politician, that's sometimes hard. Because what happens is we carry, as leaders, we don't know everything that we need to know about our city. There's just no way you can do that. So lots of times we rely on reports and information that we get. And sometimes that information is not correct. So we get out there and tell them what happened, we apologize, we correct it, and we are working hard with our departments to make sure that doesn't happen. And I do believe this new format that we're going to move into, you're going to see less of that because we're going to. Now to my members of council, not so much to you, is my third one. And this is the hardest one. Take the heat. Take the heat. I take the most heat in this room because at the end of the day, it wasn't council that did it, it was the mayor. I remember once when Jim Stiglitz was mayor, we voted, he was adamant against this, and we voted 7-2 to do it. He was one of the two that didn't. The headline came out in the newspaper, "What is the mayor thinking?" Hey, but you're the leader. And once that vote happens, whether you agree with it or not, you have to sell it, you have to support it, and be out there and be the cheerleader. Because what happens when people come to the podium at City Council, everybody wants something. But unfortunately, we have to say no. And so you have to live with the heat. The other thing is, I want to thank Parkland Ambulance. That's why they're here. Parkland Ambulance. They deliver me a calendar every year. Well, if you come to my desk, I have about 4 of these in my office, and one never moves. This one never moves, and it faces me. Because I also work on a saying that they put a quote on their, hey, there's my time. And right at the end, because I'm going to ask her questions. It has a quote on their calendar, and everyone should read it, even business leaders, because this is a very good quote. It was from Jesse James, and they must like it because it's been on here for 15 years. Mind you, that's why I have to watch the calendars I throw out because they all look alike. But they're very effective. And this quote is very, very simple. Leadership has a harder job than choosing sides. It must bring sides together. And I think that's a very good statement for our city. Because we do have some issues in our city, so let's bring all the sides together and see if we can move them forward. You know, I feel for our provincial government because they're going to have some tough decisions. And I'm not going to like some of them, but now after you've heard my speech about oil, you understand why I'm going to be quiet on some of them, because something has to give. But all I continue to say to the government is think about the people. We can put off the bridge for another couple of years because we're so happy that we're talking about it. So it is in the future. I do believe we are going to have a bridge. But now with the price of oil and the slowdown, will it come as quick? We don't know. We're going to continue to work on that project. But I'm excited about the community. So I'm going to close with my comments, but I'm going to answer questions. But before I close, I really want to thank you for coming today. This really shows my colleagues and myself that you care for our community. I want to thank the Raider organization because they're players. As you stand there, you're leaders in our community too. I have a 7-year-old nephew that lives and dies the Prince Albert Raiders, so you are role models. And congratulations. And just so you know, I'm probably the only person in this room that doesn't spell fun W-I-N. Remember that. I don't spell fun W-I-N. I come to this complex to be entertained. And not only to be entertained, to talk to my friends and neighbors. This is a gathering place for hockey. Everyone says, well, the Raiders have a challenge. Well, they had a challenge because when I was on the Raider board and served as vice president, we had great days. Everyone says, great, can't those days come back? Well, you're going to close the casino. You're going to close the bingo hall. You're going to close the Rawlinson Center. When I was there, you had no choice. When it was 30 below and cold outside, well, let's go to the Raider game. Well, today there's more competition for the entertainment dollar, and unfortunately the Raiders are in that pool. But our city should be very proud to have a Western Canada hockey team. So next year, get your wallets ready, because I have already talked to the Raiders, and I am going to go on a season ticket selling campaign early in the new year for the next season, because I believe we should fill this building. To show these young men that we are leaders in our community and we do support them, win or lose. We're proud to have them as Okay, with that, I'll leave some time for questions. I want to thank you for staying a little late. We've earned our lesson. Next year, we'll have a better plan because we think the crowd will be bigger, because we're going to have more bigger and better announcements. So I will field a few questions because I do believe it's important that if I haven't said something, that people come up. Okay, the boys, I've just been told you have to go. So thank you for coming. Good luck on your road trip. Your bus is outside. So good luck and make our city proud. Okay, do I have any questions? Boy, I answered them all. Well, then there's, okay, let's wait, but I just have to say one more first about Greg Dionne. He sold me this jacket five years ago, and this is the first time I could do up the buttons. 40 pounds. This is just my winter festival look. Even though lots of people said I looked younger, and it swelled my head a little, it stretches. So this is just my winter festival look, and then I'm going to go back to my normal. Yes, Mr. Stern.
Brings up the multicultural community. What's
Absolutely.
the last to do with multicultural?
Well, again, I'm really pleased because we have a very active multicultural. We have a very active First Nations in our community. We're going to come together in 2015 and see how we can make our community better and grow through education, through health, through participation. One thing that we have to tackle, and that's why I'm getting excited about some of our announcements, is we have an issue with youth. And so we have to tackle that. We can't close our eyes. And you can't solve lots of our problems by enforcement. Lots of our problems that we have in our community are social. So we do have to bring all our groups together to see how we can make our community a better place to live. You're going to see some changes. I did touch base last year on the RMs. Our relationship with the RMs are strong. You're going to see one of our businesses leave our community and move into the RM of Prince Albert. But it's going to be a plus for us because we can't accommodate that business. So I'm going to wait until they're ready to make that announcement. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a plus for our city. So it's about working together. It's about working together in partnerships. That's what it's about.